Hello everyone, Quinn here. I am currently editing a 24-hour mid-year challenge video, and because that one's going to take me a little longer to edit, I decided to do a short little video here about my summer reading plans. The summer solstice was this past Sunday, the 21st of June, so these reading plans are from then until September 22nd, which is the autumn equinox. I always like to plan my reading seasonally instead of a monthly TBR. It helps me to narrow down my TBR as well as not have it super narrow where, like, as a mood reader, I only have 5 books on the TBR and I just don't really want to either read them. This overall just makes it easier for me to go to this shelf, look at what I have picked and read from it. I usually like to stand in front of my bookcase and just look at all the titles I have and pick and choose what feels summery. There's not really any rhyme or reason. I also put Readathon stuff on this shelf too, but I also just put in some of my reading goals. Let us start on this side where I have my Summerween TBR. Summerween is a week-long readathon hosted by Gabby at Gabby Reads. That takes place in the, I think, first full week of July. I'll put the Summerween prompts up here. So we have read a book in the dark or at night, read a thriller or horror, read a new to you author, read a book with pink on the cover, and read a book with less than 250 pages. I have about 3 books planned for the readathon since it's only a week long. And then I have backup books that I might want to get to during Summerween if I have time. All of these books can fulfill prompt 1, but I just assigned it to this book. And the first one is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. This will fulfill prompts 1 and 2. The other 3 I am going to get from my library. We have Root Rot, which will fulfill prompts 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we have Ring Shout, which will fulfill 2, 3, and 5. So those are my 3 solidified books to fill all the prompts. I will also be getting Pet from the library, and then from my physical TBR, I have Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, Summer Suns by Lee Mandelo, and lastly, The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. So I have a lot of options. The 3 physical books could fit in a few of the prompts. So if I grab a book from the library, first chapter or 2 I don't vibe with, I do have backup, but there's no way I'm going to be reading all of the books. I will be doing a vlog for the Summerween Readathon. I did one last year based off of the 2000s live-action Scooby-Doo movie because that just oozes Summerween for me, and I had so much fun doing that. So I don't know if I'm going to be choosing a theme this year or not for my video, but we'll see. I still have a little bit of time to think about it, but I'm sure whatever I'll do, I'll have so much fun. I'm also going to be doing a video in August that is a library challenge. This is heavily inspired by Gav from Gavin Reads It All. My library has a place you can ask for recommendations. So you fill out a form, you submit what you're looking for, and a librarian gets back to you. So I have an email that's been sitting in my inbox for a very long time. I had this planned for the beginning of the year, but as you will hear from my 24-hour challenge video that I've already filmed, my plans kind of got paused. I personally asked for fantasy and sci-fi. Specifically for August, I will be tackling the fantasy recommendations. I'll post a little thing up here. I think I did take a screen recording of me filling out the form. And fascinatingly, I already, on accident, read one of the recommendations and I gave it 5 stars. It was my second 5-star read of the year. It was crazy. So I have high expectations for these other 2 fantasy reads. I do own one already physically, and the second one I have had on my radar for ages. And so I'm a little hesitant because I think I've owned it before and got rid of it because I wasn't as excited. But so far the first recommendation didn't steer me wrong. So those books are The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. And funnily enough, I just read it here, the second book that they recommended is The Night Circus by the same author. So that'll be interesting. I didn't even realize that. I didn't even take any notice to it. So these 2 are the books I will be reading for my library challenge. Before I move on to the last readathon related book plans, I'm just going to be flipping over what I have chose from my physical TBR that I really want to get to in summer. The Husbands by Holly Gramazio, the last book in the House Witch series by Delmhatch, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zolfa Coteau, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, Hum by Helen Phillips, Taiwan Travelogue by Yang Xuanzi, translated by Lin King, Not So Straight Up by J.E. Joyce, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, Evocation by S.T. Gibson, and This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald. As you see, there is a wide variety of books here, wide variety of color schemes as well. Now, moving on to the rest of the readathon specific plans I have. Now, I flipped these books before because I don't have very solid plans for these readathons. We have the autumn semester of the Magical Readathon, hosted by G at Book Roast. Since my character is currently doing their higher calling as an ARC librarian, I do have some prompts I know of. The two that are part of this calling are a book over 600 pages and an entire series start to finish. There are two prompts that change every year, and that is for the classes for spells and incantations, as well as conjuration. So I might have some wiggle room on my TBR with those two classes. I'll know the prompts for about a few weeks before the start of the readathon. And that readathon is hosted in September. So I don't like reading tomes. So half of the prompts for the higher calling just don't apply to me, but I picked the calling for my character. So this is where my character Ezekiel, or Zeke, would go for. So it's not me, it's him. And so we have 600 plus pages, which currently I only own 2 books that are over 600 pages. I have The House of Leaves, which I think I looked up, it's 790 pages. This is definitely more fall vibes. September is like really, really close to that. If I want to torture myself, I could read this. Or I can just read it at my own pace instead of trying to cram it in 1 month along with however many other books I want to do for the readathon. I also have The Sword of Kaigen, which is 651 pages, and I have that on audiobook. Everything else I own, under that amount. As for series start to finish, looking at my TBR shelf or even my ebook TBR, I don't have any that I have fully on there. I think I own the Poppy War trilogy on audiobook, but those books are also super, super chunky. So I feel like they would just take up the whole month of just 3 books. It might be fine because it's the page number that go towards the ARC librarian calling. But still, I feel like just reading 3 books doesn't seem as satisfying to me. And then everything else I have either standalones or I have like the first book of the series, but I just don't know if I'll like it enough to continue. I don't know how many books are even in the series of these ones that I have the first book of the series. And I think my percentage, I don't know it right now off the bat, but my percentage is very, very low on continuing a series after the first book. So that's not looking good for me either. We will see when we get closer to September and when the announcement video gets posted on which route I'm going to be taking. I also participate in 2 yearly challenges, also by G at Book Roast, the Year in Aldea challenge, as well as the Book Bog challenge. So these span the year, and every month there is a different prompt that you follow. So I will be covering July, August, and September on what the prompts are and what books I have to find for those. So for the Year in Aldea, for July I have to read entirely in the PM hours, so I can choose really any book that I have either on this shelf or that pops up. For August I need to read a book with the word light in the title, which I will have to hunt for that. And then September, I have 2 options. I either can read the last book in a series or read a book with a light blue cover. Now this fits perfectly with my ARC librarian higher calling because if I have to read a series, I could read the last book of whatever series that I choose. And for the Book Bog challenge, for July, read any audiobook, anything to do with sound on the cover, music word in title, or music notes on the cover, so that I will most likely just choose any audiobook that route. August is food on the cover or food word in the title, which works nicely with As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. Lemon is a food, that counts. And for September, any cozy read. So this will also probably be a book that I choose for the readathon. I'm really banking on those 2 classes. And there you have it. Those are my summer reading plans. If you have any readathons or anything fun that happened in the summer months, please let me know. As always, this is Quinn signing off.